Okay, so Daniel had a dream about 5 kingdoms made of different stuff, and I guess if you project what you want to believe onto it, the last one is the kingdom of God, and supposedly that's an important phrase, and cut out by no human hand. That is a supernatural kingdom made by God himself. Oh boy. This is the context in which everything Jesus says about himself needs to be understood. Again, we don't know what Jesus said because it's not transcribed properly. He didn't write anything down. And these people wrote 30 to 60 years later. Again, if you need evidence for why people can't remember things they said or heard decades ago, refer to your own life. I mean, maybe there's a few key moments from 20, 30 years ago that you can actually remember a full sentence, but not many. I mean, I can't. So, anyways, the Son of Man. But the prophecy of the coming of the kingdom of God isn't the only oracle from the book of Daniel that is essential for understanding Jesus. For if the kingdom of God was one of Jesus' favorite ways of referring to the coming age of salvation, when did they talk about salvation? The expression, the Son of Man, was one of his favorite ways of referring to himself. To take but a few examples. Blah, blah, blah. Again, we don't know what Jesus says. The guy has already admitted that, so we can't nitpick about his word choice. Just as with the kingdom of God, so too with the Son of Man. Throughout the Gospels, over and over again, Jesus uses this expression to speak about himself. What does Jesus mean when he refers to himself as the Son of Man? And is that a big deal either? Why does he speak about himself in the third person in this way? Well, Michael likes to talk in third person sometimes, so maybe he was just having fun. He never says, now here's what the expression the Son of Man means, and here's why I'm referring to myself this way. He just uses it. Again, God, if this shit's true, he's putting hurdles and roadblocks in our way to salvation, which makes him pretty devil-like, if you think about it. He's using mysterious phrases and hoping that you, go back through all these other obscure passages, try to figure out some translations, or it's just gobbledygook, and none of the words mean that much, and there's no reason to believe it's a particularly special book. On the one hand, the basic expression Son of Man is both Hebrew and Greek, and in both Hebrew and Greek can simply be used to refer to a human being. Go figure. For example, one of the prayers from the book of Psalms says, when I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have established, what is man that you are mindful of him, the Son of Man that you care for him? In this case, Son of Man is simply a synonym for man. That is, a human being. On the other hand, and this is important, when Jesus uses the expression, he does so in such a way that he seems to be referring to a specific person. Literally, the Son of Man. Now, I wonder if this guy wants to believe that, if he wants to read that into it. Who is this particular Son of Man? Once again, the answer seems to lie in the Old Testament. As scholars widely agree, they agree, when Jesus speaks about the Son of Man, he is referring to another prophecy from the book of Daniel, the famous vision of the 4 beasts and the coming of one like a Son of Man. In this passage, Daniel has another dream about a sequence of 4 pagan empires that will be followed by the coming of the kingdom of God. In this case, the 4 empires are not described as 4 kinds of metal, but as 4 kinds of beasts. Blah, blah, blah. First was like a lion with eagle's wings, another one like a bear, another one was a leopard with 4 wings, and a 4th beast, terrible and dreadful and exceedingly strong, had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces, blah, blah, blah. Here's a little test. Write down a few of your dreams, and then in the following weeks, see if you can correlate any events that happen in your life with the dream. It's really not that hard when you start trying to fit the outcomes to the predictions, especially when they're, symbolic. You can make anything fit anything. It's really not very persuasive or even interesting. Once again, a lot could be said about this mysterious vision. Like I'm saying, you can read whatever you want into it. For our purposes here, the main point is that the 4 beasts of Daniel's dream are also symbolize a sequence of 4 pagan empires. According to who? You? beginning with the Babylonian Empire. In this case, the book of Daniel makes clear, does it make clear, that these four great beasts are four kings who shall arise out of the earth. In other words, although the beasts represent the various empires, they first and foremost symbolize the pagan rulers of those empires. The reason Daniel's vision is important for understanding who Jesus claimed to be is that the vision doesn't end with the coming of the fourth beast. It ends with the victorious coming of a heavenly Son of Man. Blah, blah, blah. We'll come back to... Okay. As I looked, thrones were placed, and one that was ancient of days took his seat. His raiment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was fiery flames. Its wheels were burning fire. Behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man. Like a son of man, it says, not like a particular. And he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him, and to him was given dominion and glory and kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. It's also not shocking that these people who are used to a very strict hierarchy, like kings are at top, and then, there's tiers of levels to society, and you always know who's above you and who's below you, and so they're always thinking in terms of pyramids, in terms of a ruler. Who was a terrorist? I mean, all people at the top of pyramids are terrorists. They use fear to manipulate large populations. So it's not surprising these people imagined, first off, they hated the current one, and they wanted a new one, and they wanted him to be good, and they hoped it would last forever. So it's not surprising they made up this bullshit. Again, what's surprising is people in 2022 think it has anything to do with our lives. We'll come back to this passage more than once before the end of the book. For now, we just need to highlight one main point. In order to understand who the Son of Man is, you have to remember who the four beasts are. Remember or get told by you. As the angel tells Daniel, the four beasts are the four kings. Once this is clear, then the identity of the Son of Man also becomes clear. The Son of Man is the kingdom, the fifth kingdom, the everlasting kingdom of God. Even though Jesus died, didn't last very long, did it? This kingdom will be established when the fourth beast is destroyed. Oh, which was Rome, which fell already, and yet Jesus' kingdom isn't here. The following chart compares the symbols in Daniel's dreams with the five empires. Blah, blah, blah. Once again, the implications of this prophecy are enormous, for it makes clear that the long-awaited kingdom of God and the heaven... Again, who's waiting? And the heavenly Son of Man, who will reign over the kingdom of God, will come sometime during the reign of the Roman Empire. It wouldn't take much for a first-century Jew to realize that if the Son of Man and Daniel will be the ruler of the kingdom of God, then he must also be the long-awaited Messiah. Why? What, are those similar words? I don't know. Indeed, the fact that the Son of Man is a king is made clear not only by his being contrasted with the pagan kings, the beasts, but also by the fact that he is seated on a heavenly throne. Should there be any doubt, oh no, nobody would doubt this, about the messianic identity of the Son of Man in Daniel, it's critical to note that this is exactly how he was identified by early Jewish interpreters going all the way back to the 1st century. For example, in the ancient writing known as Enoch, a very popular book in the 1st century, the Son of Man is explicitly identified as the Messiah. Cool. Along similar lines, another 1st century Jewish writing interprets Daniel's visions of the figure of a man flying with the clouds of heaven as reference to the Son of God. Blah, blah, blah. Man, it's just nitpicking over word choice when we already know we don't know the words of the Bible, like Jesus said in the Bible. And all this shit got translated 18 times since then. In light of these Jewish parallels, it seems clear that if Jesus of Nazareth went around proclaiming that the kingdom of God was at hand and referring to himself as the Son of Man, then he was saying, in effect, the time for the fulfillment of the prophecies is at hand. The time for the coming of the Messiah is now. Would have been easier just to say that, don't you think? Every Jew in Jesus' audience who knew the book of Daniel, none of them, because none could read, like 0.1% probably. For as we have seen previously, the long-awaited kingdom of... everybody's just waiting and waiting and waiting. And the Messianic Son of Man were supposed to come during the time of the Roman Empire, and that, of course, is precisely when Jesus began his public ministry, blah, blah, blah. In other words, the book of Daniel's kingdom of God that Jesus proclaims, and in it, the book Daniel's Son of Man, whom Jesus implicitly claims to be. Whatever. If we accept these conclusions, I don't, then something significant follows. If Jesus is claiming to be the Messianic Son of Man from the book of Daniel, then that means that he is no mere earthly Messiah, no mere earthly king. For in the book of Daniel, the Son of Man is heavenly. That's what I keep saying, we're all heavenly. And the kingdom, I don't like the word kingdom, but this area, let's just call it a heavenly area, and we're all divine. So, cheers, enjoy it. As we will see later on, some scholars even suggest that the Son of Man in Daniel is a divine being. Well, that's what I'm suggesting too. We're all divine, no big deal. But we'll have to wait until a later chapter to deal with that issue. For now, there is one last prophecy from Daniel that we need to take a look at so that we can understand the words and deeds of Jesus in their context. I am speaking about Daniel's mysterious prophecy of the death of the Messiah.